With all of this new focus on Donald Trump's intelligence community and their untrustworthiness, all of the lies that they told yesterday to the Congress, to the United States Senate under direct examination, under oath, answering questions about their dissemination of highly top secret, highly classified, sensitive military operations to a journalist that they didn't even know was on the thread, that they invited to the thread. In light of all of this, I think it's important to revisit exactly the dangers that they pose. And not just me, because I'm a public figure with a YouTube channel who talks about politics, not just because I am readily getting death threats from Trump supporters and am under threat because the U.S. attorney here in the District of Columbia is an absolute Trump sycophant, but also because of the powers that these people, these liars, these people with no loyalty or duty to the Constitution to which they swore an oath, because they are also in control of the surveillance operations of the United States government. Let me remind you of this headline from the New York Times back in 2023. FBI violated surveillance program rules after George Floyd protests and January 6th attack. The Bureau made changes after the newly revealed violations of rules for querying messages intercepted under an expiring warrantless surveillance law. Now, that law was reasserted because when you get power, like the power of the presidency of the United States, it corrupts your decision-making relative to constitutional rights. Even Joe Biden fell prey to this. And if Joe Biden fell prey, what do you think Donald Trump is going to do with his new, again, power of surveillance of the weight of the United States government? Let me read a couple paragraphs from this. FBI analysis improperly used a warrantless surveillance program to search for information about hundreds of Americans who came under scrutiny in connection with two politically charged episodes of civil unrest, the protests after the 2020 police killing of George Floyd and the January 6, 2021 attack on the Capitol, a newly declassified court ruling shows. This is something you're going to need to pay attention to as a private citizen, someone without a YouTube channel. And there's no better time for the sponsor of today's video. We reached out to them to sponsor something about this when all this broke, and that is Proton Mail. This larger discussion of the United States as a growing surveillance state, of course, ultimately affects people like you and me. Has your inbox been compromised? And would you have any idea if it had been? The sponsors of this video, Proton Mail, offer the only end-to-end encrypted email platform that is open source and independently audited. Their zero access encryption means that even Proton Mail itself cannot access your emails. This is something that is certainly not the case with other big name email services. Lock down your email right now and for free by signing up for Proton Mail at proton.me/Dollemore. Use Proton Mail to block companies from surveilling you with hidden email tracking and spy pixels that they put into your emails. And Proton Mail is always free, as in it will cost you nothing, and it is ad-free too. It is the only encrypted email service that has all its servers in Switzerland, a country with some of the strongest privacy protections in the world, allowing for a level of protection that no other email service can offer. Also with Proton Mail, you can easily integrate the rest of Proton's privacy products, encrypt your calendar, cloud, storage, etc. Protect your data and yourself with Proton Mail. It's free. Just head to proton.me/Dollemore right now. Your data deserves better. Your data deserves Proton Mail. Something to consider. But listen, let's get into this section 702 that has been reapplied, renewed by President Biden, and will certainly be abused by the Trump administration, because the FBI, like I just read in that first paragraph of that article, they adjusted their rules, but they're self-regulating. We cannot trust these people, especially when Kash Patel is the director of the FBI, especially when Tulsi Gabbard is the director of national intelligence, especially when John Ratcliffe is the CIA director, especially when Mike Waltz is the national security advisor for these United States. We're in a real tight spot here. Let me go back to this article from the New York Times. The surveillance program, known as Section 702, empowers the government to collect without a warrant and from American companies like Google and AT&T the communications of foreigners abroad who are targeted for intelligence purposes, even when they are talking with or about Americans. And that's the rub, because if you happen to have a foreign relative, if you happen to talk to somebody on the phone who is a foreigner, not American, your communications are being scraped up as well. And do you trust the jackbooted thugs of the United States government, the armed agents of the state, to do the right thing, especially this group? No, you should not. Intelligence and law enforcement officials can search the databases of communications intercepted under Sections 702 using the names or other identifiers of Americans, but only under certain circumstances. The FBI has repeatedly failed to comply with those limits, leading to court scrutiny. And that leads us to the position, the newly held position of Tulsi Gabbard, the director of national intelligence, who used to be opposed to renewing the strength of the government relative to Section 702. And now she's a big cheerleader, big fan of it now that she has power within the organization, within the Trump administration. Look at this headline from ABC News. Tulsi Gabbard shifts stance on key surveillance tools she previously opposed. She had voted against the reauthorization of FISA in 2020. Former Representative Tulsi Gabbard, President-elect Donald Trump's pick for Director of National Intelligence, announced on Friday her support for a government surveillance authority she was previously critical of as a member of Congress. She had voted against the reauthorization of the key surveillance bill in 2020, her last year in Congress, but now that she has the weight of power over her, it has morphed her into someone else. Well, either she is bereft of political ideology, bereft of principles, or she's now in the Trump camp, and hypocrisy is their native tongue. It's not English, no. It's being a hypocrite. Anyway, what do you think? I'd love to know. You can call the voicemail line 714-576-4054. And of course, as always, you can email me daily@dollemore.com. Take care of yourself. We're certainly taking steps within our household and within my group, my extended group of both creator friends, but also just personal friends. We've switched to different apps, and you need to take care of yourself. Until then, be genuine and take care of yourself and one another.